Looking back on the Fairly Odd Parents, I just feel so mixed, you guys. It's one of those where I remember loving this show as a kid, and, well, there are still aspects that I do love about it, but in its entirety, I just see the Fairly Odd Parents in a different light nowadays. I mean, when this show originally premiered in March of 2001, I was 6. I was the prime audience for that zany, off-the-wall humor. Of course I loved it. We had Cosmo flying around and just being as random as possible. There were a ton of comic book and video game references. And of course, the everyday situations presented were relatable for a normal kid. Meanwhile, the solution of magic, very much so, was not. In a very odd way, it kind of scratched that specific itch of being a kid and wondering, what if I could just wish all of my problems away? As a young boy growing up in the early 2000s, this show was on my Mount Rushmore of Nicktoons. However, in hindsight, I'll be the first to admit that that just isn't the case today. And this isn't even from a Butch Hartman sucks standpoint either. It's from a genuine point of analyzing the quality of this show as someone who grew up watching it and enjoying it. I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments, but for me, I just don't see the same charm in it that I saw when I was a kid. One of the biggest things that made this hit like a ton of bricks for me was sitting down and watching this show with my kids the other day. I've talked pretty openly about my feelings towards the Fairly Odd Parents on this channel before, but in watching this show from the start, I've come to realize that there was actually a pretty early on point that made us as viewers see just how kind of an awful person and godchild that Timmy Turner can be. As the dominoes fall, ultimately I find myself wondering if maybe this episode could be a key point in making me feel the way that I do about this show nowadays. And that's why today, on our nostalgic walk down memory lane, we're gonna check out an episode of The Fairly Odd Parents that just painted Timmy Turner in an absolutely awful light. But before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being a part of my YouTube journey by clicking on this video. I appreciate you more than words could ever say, and I hope that you're having an excellent day. If you aren't already, make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future nostalgic walks down memory lane. It's free, and well, it helps me out a ton. Also, no pressure, but please consider becoming a member here on YouTube as well. There are multiple tiers to choose from, and no matter what tier you're in, you're going to get early access to videos as well as other cool perks. I really appreciate all of your guys' support, and with that being said, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at none other than the Season 1 episode, A Wish Too Far. This episode starts out early in the morning as Timmy and his friends are sitting together on the bus. The bus approaches the stop of Timmy's crush, none other than the popular girl, Trixie Tang. When he catches sight of her, Timmy begins to gush about how much he likes her.
Here we go again. She's the prettiest girl in school, and today she's gonna sit next to me.
What makes today different?
Today she's gonna have a place to sit. Bye!
Trixie steps onto the bus as the driver gives her a full-blown Bruce Buffer-style entrance announcement complete with disco ball and spotlights. She walks past all of the popular kids and her friends, greeting them in return as they all say hi. Meanwhile, the kids she deems as lesser than her, such as Timmy, she refers to as empty bus seat. Timmy is frustrated as to why Trixie doesn't like him, but thankfully his friends Chester and AJ are there to break it down for him. They even have a full-blown chart explaining that Timmy, Chester, AJ, and Elmer are all in their own specific small other category, not even charting in a substantial section of the pie chart. This has Timmy connecting dots and thinking that if all he needs to do is be popular to get Trixie's love, then he can make that happen. We fast forward to lunch at school, where Timmy finishes getting his food before shooting his shot at the popular kids' table.
Hi, everybody. Guys, I keep glaring at him, but he won't leave.
Group glare!
It's
can be!
After that happens, we see Timmy walking through the halls of the school as he's headed towards the bathroom. Just then, a few doors nearby that he's never seen before catch his eye.
Popular girls, popular boys?
Hey, whoa, hang on there, little not popular boy. Denied.
Aw, come on!
Don't blame me, blame the chalk.
Later that night, back at Timmy's house, we see him talking with Cosmo and Wanda, who are trying to make him feel better about his social status. They explain their chart, which is a whopping 99.9% Timmy and 0.1% also Timmy, making him the most popular guy in their eyes. Timmy is pretty quick to brush off their feelings, thinking instead about what it is that makes the popular kids so popular. Ultimately, it boils down to the clothes, the looks, the money, and the stuff, which gives Timmy the idea that he could just wish for those things to make himself popular.
But you'd be making friends for the wrong reasons!
So?
Wow, you can't beat that logic.
The next morning, we see Timmy standing outside of his house, getting ready for the bus to arrive as he says goodbye to his parents, who are leaving for work. As soon as his parents drive away, he prepares to launch his plan for popularity into action.
Hey, Timmy, you should see the nuts we just...
Up! Bus coming! Popularity needed! Move it!
You could say please.
Fine, please move it.
With just a simple wish, Timmy's style is completely transformed to one that is way outside of his normal wardrobe. When Wanda asks him for a thank you in a very indirect manner, Timmy basically flips her the bird and tells her to put a ring on it. As the bus arrives, Cosmo and Wanda are thankful to be able to go their separate ways with Timmy for now. However, much to their dismay, he wishes that they were 2 cool medallions for him to wear all day, just in case he needs to wish for any more cool stuff to up his reputation. On the bus, we see Timmy sitting by himself when his best friends Chester and AJ approach, wondering where he got all this cool stuff.
Internet? Inheritance? I inherited the internet.
When the two try to sit with him, Timmy is pretty quick to kick them away, telling them that this seat is taken by Trixie. As the two join Elmer and his boy Bob in his seat, Timmy sits back as Trixie gets on the bus. Whereas yesterday he was an empty bus seat to her, today she is completely enamored with his style and his newfound confidence.
Timmy Turner? Mm-hmm. It's a trap! No kid could get so popular so quick!
Trixie admits that Veronica does have a point, and in order to prove his worth in popularity, Trixie requests that Timmy show her his popular kid smile. Of course, Timmy discreetly wishes for shiny teeth, and Cosmo and Wanda end up giving him a set of teeth so shiny that it makes Veronica full-blown go blind. Meanwhile, Trixie, being dumbfounded by Timmy's change in appearance, decides to sit with him for the rest of the bus ride. Later on, as school is being let out, Timmy walks with the popular kids as they all talk about what they're gonna do after school.
My parents are out of town, and, they said we could have a party after school at my, mansion?
Wow, that kicks the crud out of my plan.
Bye, Timmy. We'll see you later at your fancy mansion party. I am so totally popular.
Creep.
Timmy very briefly tells his friends that he's having a popular kid party after school, and he says that if they come, they'll get popular too, before he just kind of walks off without even thinking to hear what their responses are. Chester and AJ are pretty quick to assess the situation and realize that Timmy has moved over to the dark side of the chart. As a result, they appoint Elmer the new Timmy, giving him Timmy's pink hat. Back over at Timmy's house, we see him wishing Cosmo and Wanda back to normal as they're both sweating buckets from exhaustion.
How about today? It seemed like I got on your nerves with all my wishing.
Well, it was the selfish, thoughtless, rude, abrasive way you wished that annoyed us, sweetie.
Yeah, I thought so. So, I made your list of what I'll need for the party tonight at my mansion.
Timmy brazenly tells Cosmo and Wanda to get with the magic and make his whole list a reality. Wanda points out that he's going to be making friends for the wrong reasons, but he doesn't care all too much, not stopping to consider any consequences. He's pretty quick to tell her that he's wishing for materials, not morals. And just like that, we see his room starting to fill up with expensive stereo equipment, butlers, and all sorts of other decorations. However, when the time comes for him to wish for a giant mansion to put it all in, the flow of magic is seemingly interrupted. Timmy is confused to find himself still standing in a normal house and not in a lavish mansion. Before he can even try to connect any dots though, he's immediately poofed to a fairy courtroom to own up to his crimes.
What's going on?
You're being sued by Fairy World, and Jorgen von Strangle is the persecutor.
Don't you mean prosecutor?
No!
I'm gonna be the defense attorney.
No!
And for my first legal maneuver, I'd like to make a motion.
As the trial begins, Jorgen calls Timmy to the stand first. Jorgen asks him about all of the wishes that he's made over the last few days, confirming that they were all made in an effort to make Timmy new friends. Timmy admits to it, and next thing you know, we see the ball put in Cosmo's court.
Hi, Timmy. Look, I'm a lawyer. Now I'm a fireman. Whee! Now, I'm just a simple fairy/lawyer/fireman, but Jorgen misses the point. There are many redeeming qualities to Timmy.
Cosmo proceeds to point out even more selfish wishes that Timmy has made on top of everything that Jorgen has already listed, which of course does not help Timmy's case whatsoever.
Wow, what a selfish punk! The defense rests.
That's your laser-targeted defense?
I'm a fireman, not a laser technician. Now I'm a laser technician.
As this trial nears its end, Jorgen asks Timmy if after all of these wishes, he even thanked his fairy godparents at least one time. At the realization that he didn't, however, Timmy feels incredibly guilty. He puts his heart out there and says that he should have thanked them and that he's really sorry for how he essentially abused their magic and wasn't very appreciative.
Well, he said he was sorry. Guilty. Timmy Turner, you lose your godparents.
Don't look at me, I'm just a coal miner.
Outside of the courtroom, we see Timmy saying his final goodbyes to Cosmo and Wanda, who are just completely in tears. Jorgen comes up to bring Timmy home, and before he goes, Timmy gives Cosmo and Wanda his one and only pink hat to remember him by.
Oh, I can always wish for... Oh, right.
As all of that is wrapped up, we see Timmy poofed right back to his bedroom, and he's dumbfounded to see that all of his popular kid stuff is still there. He excitedly goes to tell Cosmo and Wanda that he can still be popular, but then it hits him. Cosmo and Wanda are gone for good. We cut to the outside of his house where a bunch of people are showing up for the party. However, they're all shocked to arrive at Timmy's normal house to see him wearing normal people clothes.
Guys, I don't have a mansion or a party or any of that stuff. I just faked it to get you to like me.
But it worked.
Yeah, but I want friends who like me for who I am, not what I have. I'm sorry I didn't figure that out earlier.
The popular kids note how noble that is of Timmy, yet they admit that they don't really care because they're all rich, and that's what matters most to them. On that note, they invite everyone except Timmy and his friends to their yacht party. All of the popular kids walk off, and as they disappear, Trixie stays behind to talk to Timmy for a second.
Hi, I think it was really sweet the way you stood up for your friends, and I better do this quick.
Timmy invites Trixie to hang out with them, but she says that she's definitely not missing the yacht party. As Trixie walks off, we see Chester take Timmy's hat from Elmer and bring it back over to Timmy, deeming him the official Timmy yet again. However, when Elmer walks away sad, Timmy takes notice and he tries to make him feel better.
Hey! Wait! Now you're first runner-up, Timmy. Really? Yep. And in the event the real Timmy fails to fulfill his duties, you become Timmy.
Has that ever happened?
No.
Cool. I have a dream!
Just then, the screen zooms out and we realize that Wanda, Cosmo, and the judge are still in the courtroom as they watch over Timmy, seeing the selfless act of kindness that he just displayed. This makes the judge realize that he didn't deserve the harsh sentence that he was given, and he overturns the ruling.
I rule in favor of the defendant.
But, Your Honor, I agree. On one condition!
Back in Timmy's room, we see him sadly sitting alone when Cosmo and Wanda poof back into his life, telling him that the judge saw how kind he was to Elmer and decided to give him a second chance. The three friends celebrate, and as they hop up and down, Jorgen shows up saying that Timmy was still ungrateful and that he still has to pay. And with a simple wave of his wand, Jorgen bestows upon Timmy a boil just as big, if not bigger than Elmer's. Considering that Timmy's social calendar is completely free yet again, Cosmo and Wanda say that it's too bad that this party has to go to waste. However, Timmy decides that instead of that, he's gonna make it a party to appreciate Cosmo and Wanda.
More tea, Mr. and Mrs. Godparent?
Sure.
You want I should explain the chart?
Yes!
Oh, Timmy. Timmy. This episode really just makes me rethink his character on so many levels. To be honest, I never really realized how much of a dislikable protagonist that Timmy was. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Timmy is a completely terrible person, because of course by the end of this episode we saw him learn his lesson and show a little bit of appreciation for his godparents, leaving the wishes of being popular behind. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said that this episode, especially being the first segment of the third episode in the series, didn't have the potential to plant the seed in your brain of recognizing Timmy as having less than stellar ethics. This, from what I recall, was the first one that really gave us a look at how selfish that Timmy could be. Whereas characters like Arnold from Hey Arnold had typically generous tendencies, or even SpongeBob, though his actions weren't always perfect, were always made with good intentions, Timmy had the tendency to be selfish and not really consider how his actions could affect others. This episode right here, for all intents and purposes, really is case in point, considering that it would straight up feature him getting sued by Fairy World for using his magic for selfish reasons. And this one, if we're being honest, was just the tip of the iceberg, of course. As time would go on, we would see Timmy's selfish actions shine through pretty often. This episode, though, is a pretty rough one, and it paints a pretty nasty picture of Timmy for the most part. I mean, let's just look at how he views the popular kids. He pretty much worships the ground that Trixie walks on, and he really just craves to be accepted by them, even though he full-blown sees how shallow they are from the start.
Let's get shallow. Ready?
Of course, when Timmy did get all the cool, shiny new things, and along with them the attention of the popular kids, we would very rapidly see his character dissolve. Any morals he could have had previously went right out the window as he focuses wholeheartedly on being just so obnoxious and rubbing his fake rich lifestyle in people's faces. And for what? This group of kids who literally don't care about him at all unless he's loaded rich and has nice things. Like, this kid could straight up be a sociopath who hurts everyone around him, and as long as he's rich, they'd still keep him around because that's what matters to them. It's actually pretty sad, to be honest, to see how Timmy didn't realize that he is important to the people who actually matter the most to him. His fairy godparents care about him more than anyone else in the world. Yet he's so quick to dismiss their praise and affection in search of approval from these kids who don't care about who he is as a person for even a second. Like I said, they only notice him and care about him when it seems like Timmy is filthy rich. I do have to admit though, it was a little satisfying to see how hard the guilt hit Timmy when he was on the stand in the courtroom. This kid fully realized that he had straight up used his fairy's magic for his own gain and brushed them aside along the way, and that he was wrong for doing so. That right there was admittedly a big moment for Timmy. However, that couldn't compare at all to the guilt that he would feel and how hard it would hit at the moment when Timmy was in his bedroom by himself trying to talk to Cosmo and Wanda, yet not realizing that they weren't there anymore. When he realized that he still had the rich, lavish lifestyle that he had wished for, however, it was at the expense of losing his fairy godparents who actually cared about him, it really stung. And that was the moment where it all hit him like a ton of bricks. It was honestly a bit of a punch to the gut emotionally, and ultimately, it made me kind of glad that this wasn't a permanent ending for Timmy. I mean, with this being so early in the series, obviously it wouldn't have been the end anyways, but the punishment that Timmy did receive in the end would end up feeling rather fitting, to be honest. I mean, the root cause of Timmy's crime was changing his appearance to better his social status, so it's only fitting that he would be cursed with a boil that's just as big, if not bigger, than Elmer's boil is. This right here really was just plain as day karma coming full circle for Timmy, directly at the hands of Jorgen von Strangle. Now moving on from there, in just a bit of a more light-hearted direction, I have to take a second to dissect the chart. We would see this thing referenced at multiple points in this episode. In the beginning, however, the chart was explained by Chester and AJ to Timmy on the bus, and this is where we get our best look at this thing. What's weird about it though, is that this chart doesn't really make much sense at all. If you add up all of these numbers, they go above 100%. So I guess by that logic, it's not super easy to accurately quantify the percentage that Timmy and his friends make up on this pie chart, but regardless, the point still stands that it's an incredibly minuscule amount. I will admit, this kind of supports the earlier point though about just how little Timmy means to these popular kids. He counts as straight up a sliver in their popularity chart. They refer to him as empty bus seat if they even refer to him as anything at all. Like, this chart just really puts into perspective how much these kids see Timmy and his friends as less than the dirt under their feet. Now, before we wrap things up here, I have to bring up this scene right here.
Timmy, aren't there 2 words you'd like to say?
You're right! Pinky ring!
This one is just so funny to me in hindsight. I always saw this as a kid, and I interpreted it as Timmy just being a careless jerk. But like, this kinda looks like Timmy is basically flipping Wanda off in response to her asking for a thank you for all of the stuff that they're doing for him. This one is one of those moments that is just so subtle and so iconic in my opinion. I absolutely love it, and I will say, if anything, the small moments like these do add a bit of further redeeming quality to the show in my opinion. But what do you guys think? Did this episode make you look at Timmy in a different light? Let me know in the comments down below. I always love seeing your guys' feedback. Of course, you already know I have to give a massive shout out to my true 90s kids. You all are the absolute best, and I appreciate you more than words could ever say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and give a little praise to the algorithm in hopes that it pushes this one to everyone else. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Peace.